Hey guys, I just made a video defending science, and it seems now I'm going to need to make a video defending philosophy. Today I'm going to be making a video response to a prominent atheist named Thunderf00t. Now, it's not one of his best videos, but I think I'm going to respond anyway. Before we get started, let's talk a little bit about deductive arguments. He talks about these a lot in his videos, and I don't think that's the kind of thing that the average person on the street knows too much about. But it's really not that complicated, and here's an example. Men are fallible. Thunderf00t is a man, therefore Thunderf00t is fallible. It's pretty straightforward. If your conclusion follows from your premises, then the argument is in valid form. And this example happens to be in valid form. If the argument's in invalid form, then you can take it seriously. It means that if the premises are true, then the conclusion must also be true. So it's a very useful tool that we have for proving things. Now let's take a look at what Thunderf00t has to say.
Now, in a deductive argument like that, if the premises are true, then the conclusion follows logically and inescapably, whether you like it or not.
Ooh, logically and inescapably. Wow, that's fantastic, Bill. I wonder what else I can prove with this William Lane Craig style philosophy.
Now this is not just William Lane Craig style philosophy. This is just normal, old-fashioned philosophy. No matter how much you dislike Craig, he didn't say anything wrong here. The Internet Encyclopedia, or any logic textbook you can find, is going to say the same thing. It's going to tell you that when it comes to a deductive argument, if the premises are true, then it would be impossible for the conclusion to be false. So next, Thunderf00t attempts to ridicule this idea.
I know. How about logically and inescapably proving that Einstein was wrong about the speed of light? Premise 1. An object that is pushed forwards moves faster than it was moving. Premise 2. This can of spam is an object. Therefore, it logically and inescapably follows that if this can of spam is travelling at light speed and it's pushed forwards, it will move faster than the speed of light. And therefore, Einstein was wrong about things not being able to travel faster than the speed of light. You tell him, Craig.
And it certainly seems to be more probably true than its negation. So when you put it in the form of a deductive argument like that, I think that it's a good argument for that conclusion.
So what he attempts to do is to show that an argument with seemingly true premises can be used to disprove the theory of relativity. But let's look at that argument again, because I don't think he actually does this. He pulls that conclusion out of nowhere. That conclusion that he gives doesn't follow from the premises. The real conclusion that does follow from the premises would be if a can of spam is pushed forward, then it will move faster. Now, since none of the premises imply that it is possible for spam to move at light speed, or that it's possible for spam which is moving at light speed to be pushed forward, then even if the premises are true, it just doesn't contradict anything within the theory of relativity.
Wow, did I just use a verbatim William Lane Craig style logic or philosophy or whatever he calls it?
Now let me stop you right there, because the answer is no, you didn't. The only thing you've done so far is show that you haven't been very good at making deductive arguments or analogies. Now, at the very least, Craig's conclusion is true if his premises are true. Your argument can have true premises and still have a false conclusion, which means you did a really bad job of making your argument.
The comparison of these two arguments becomes perfectly analogous.
No, it's not perfectly analogous. In fact, your argument isn't even in valid form. And after all this time, you didn't even quote his argument correctly.
That's right, Bill. If your premises are wrong, the deductions made from those premises will probably be wrong too.
Finally, you said something accurate. Alright, now I'm not going to defend the cosmological argument here. I want to read the best arguments for it and see if I can poke any holes in it first. Now, the argument looks good on its face, but I really want to put the screws to it before I come out for or against it. Now, that being said, if it turns out that the cosmological argument does fail, it's not going to be due to any of Thunderf00t's arguments. Let's take a look back at this earlier portion of his video.
I'll share a classic argument for creation and unfold some of the philosophical and scientific support for its premises.
Now, he happened to fail to give us that philosophical or scientific support for the premises. Instead, he spent his time attempting to ridicule and seemingly irrelevantly pointing out that scientific principles are not always intuitively obvious. Now, until those reasons, which we haven't even heard mentioned yet, have been shown to fail, then the critic has yet to show anything at all.
Look, Craig, there's a simple reason why the theory of relativity and not Craig-style deductive arguments are used to describe motion. because one is a demonstrably accurate description of reality. In scientific terms, what we would call a theory. It can be robustly used time and time again to make accurate predictions of the unknown, while the predictions made by this pointless philosophical hand-waving can be shown to be wrong.
Science works, but so do deductive arguments. Just because you aren't very good at formulating them doesn't mean that they don't work. Thunderfoot is indeed fallible. As always, test everything, hold on to the good.
And it certainly seems more probable than its negation. Every object you have ever pushed moved faster.